Welcome to the What Now podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Powers. Follow along as I figure out how to go from feeling lost and at a crossroads in my life to hopefully, eventually, being found. If you have ever felt like you needed a change or pivoting from your current experience is necessary, but you just don't know how, join me. Wanderers are always welcome. Hi, and welcome to What Now, a podcast for the lost and found. This is your host, Amanda. Oh, and I'm so excited. You want to know why? Because I am leaving the high of Miami, Florida, and I'm here with my bestie, Courtney Z.
Hey.
Say hi, Courtney.
Hi.
Tell all the people, oh, what's up?
What up?
Okay. Literal. So Courtney and I just spent the weekend in Miami. We went to the Formula One race, the Formula One Grand Prix, and I learned how to say a bunch of words that look like English but are actually French. How to say them wrong, and then how to say them right, and then still got it wrong all weekend long. Basically, if it's not Spanish, I'm not going to try that hard. So, welcome to the show. I told Courtney I was going to bring down my equipment so we could record and get some content. Again, as everybody knows, if you're a regular listener to this show, I am making it up as I go. So I am learning all of my equipment, but this is the first time I've had an actual guest use the Rodecaster Duo. So shout out to Rodecaster Duo and to Mitch Powers for being Santa and giving me this. Yeah, I think there's a button for a horn. Let's see. Air horn, record scratch, crickets, applause. Okay, applause. Can you hear it?
No.
Oh, damn. It's probably because I don't have the SIM card. Shit. Anyway, just kidding. It didn't work, but that was me pressing the button for applause because it's pre-programmed in there. Anyway, we came down to Formula One, and the races happened on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is Sunday night when we're recording, Cinco de Mayo. So we are 3 tequilas in to the wind and 1 sword fight down. So I figured now's the best time to record and get, Courtney's life story on public record. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So Courtney, how many episodes have you listened to so far?
I think I am behind 4.
Ooh,
so I'm really close.
Okay, you're getting to the good part.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm really making some mental progress by then. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. We're 30 episodes in and I still have no idea what's happening. But it's all right.
Doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't. No.
You don't have to know what's going on.
So, Courtney, let's start with your origin story. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what's your elevator pitch when you're meeting somebody new. What do you tell them about yourself?
Okay. Well, I grew up in Ohio, Cleveland. Yay, Cleveland! Woo!
OH.
Yay, Ohio. Everybody's gonna hate me now for that. Oh, okay. Yep. So grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Still love it. Live in DC area now. Amanda and I met at.
They know the FBI.
Yeah, the FBI. Yeah. Well, all that jazz.
Forever ago.
The mental torture that we went through there. Yeah, that's crazy.
What'd you study in school?
Went to Ohio Northern University. Mm-hmm. Forensic biology, and also got a chemistry minor and a coaching certificate, and also did indoor and outdoor track for D3 school, and played rugby for 2 seasons for fall. Then we got a new coach, and then they're like, "Oh, you're gonna get hurt. You can't do that anymore." I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna hurt other people, but that's okay.
I'm pretty sure you're the strongest person on the field. Yeah.
So they're just like, you should probably not. I'm like, I'm not getting a scholarship, so it should be my choice, but it's fine. Still like track, so still stuck with track, but still like rugby. That's what I did there.
Did you ever do a rugby team in DC? Because I know they have the sports, the adult league stuff.
I never did.
No?
No.
You should. That'd be so fun.
It probably would be a lot of fun. But
I mean, it'd be reckless, but yeah, it'd be fun.
if I ever get time outside of work.
I know. God. For those of you that don't know Courtney, this is the hardest working person in any room ever. She's usually got 3 or 4 jobs going on, or 10,000 hours, the Energizer Bunny that never sleeps. So she's always working and taking care of her people. Yeah. So Courtney, so you were started out with forensic biology, but you ended up at the FBI with me. How did that happen?
So I moved down to Virginia for the first job. What my official first big girl job.
Yeah.
Was for fingerprinting, which was the coolest job I had. But for contracting, we know how that goes. Right. Contracting is never stable. And when I first signed on, it was for a 5-year contract, and it only lasted for a year and a half. So at that point, they're like, we overcalculated or undercalculated. We only have work for 3 more months. So all of you that we just hired, good luck. Start looking for new jobs. And that was like about 400 people at that point.
Yeah, that sounds really scary.
Yeah. Can't really keep everybody at that point either for the same company. Usually they do a good job of trying to keep you or finding a new contract, but not for 400 people or stuff like that. So that was like August when the contract was going to end. I switched to a call center contract for a couple months until the FBI job I found.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was still like an intro analyst job at that point. So the skills were transferable, which was cool. I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Why not? It's a job. I have insurance. I would love it.
Right.
Little did we. But yeah, that's how I ended up there.
Yeah.
Just random.
Yeah. Did you ever think you would do athletics as a job? Or did you always want to go into the government?
I always wanted to work at the FBI lab ever since I was little. I thought that would be like the coolest thing. But also at the same time, I've never wanted to move actually to DC. So when my sister was
and
like,
yet you did.
I know.
And yet you were still there for the last 15 years.
Like, so my sister also works in government.
In government,
well.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So she was in DC before me. And she's like, after I graduated, it took me a year to actually find a job. Like, one that I used my degree for. And she's like, you're never going to find one in Ohio. You need to like come out here. That's where the jobs are. I was like, okay, fine. Applied 2 weeks, got a job. I was like, damn it, she's right.
Yep.
Hate when that happens.
Yep. Shout out to Allison.
Yeah. So, okay, here I go. Move on out there,
Yeah.
Figure it all out with big city. Lived with her for a couple months until I got an apartment with one of my college friends' sisters that she was out there teaching like elementary school art, I think, which was also completely random because they were from Pennsylvania. So how she ended up there, again, I don't know either. I forget.
Yeah.
But that was kind of fun. Like, okay, cool. Roommates. Great. We win. But other than that, just that was a one dream. Athletics was something else I would probably have loved to have done, like coaching. Obviously, I did get the certificate for it, but never did go down that road.
If you could coach a team or a sport, what would you want to coach?
Probably throwing for track because I really love that, or volleyball.
Oh, yeah.
Because I also did that and travel volleyball.
I could see you. You do love sunglass tans, so
right.
Sunglasses. You'd be a great volleyball coach. I'd watch that TV show where it's all about working with Coach Courtney. Zupancic slams. Yeah. Oh, Spike the Z. Yeah, that'd be good. They'd be like, "What's that about?" Oh my god, what is this? This is so interesting. And she's funny? No.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a lot though. Like you grew up really into sports. You also grew up into racing, right? Loving that because that was one of the main reasons why we even came down to Formula One this weekend anyways, because you knew a whole lot more about the sport than I did. And I, to be honest, hi, Mary Kate, because I piggybacked off of Mary Kate. She got a really cool job and had to transfer to Germany for a few years. And so she couldn't go on this trip. And so I took her spot. And God bless you, Courtney, for not punching me in the face the whole weekend while I tried to ask you questions about all these people and what this is and what's happening and where are we and what's going on. So tell everybody a little bit about your background before you left and moved to DC and everything. You grew up with racing. So what was that like? Did you ever race yourself? If you could race, what would you do? All the deep dive into racing.
So both of my parents both drove race cars, the quarter mile drag race, old school like dial box. I know this means nothing to you right now, but
it might
like
mean
old,
something.
Cool classic cars.
I believe you.
So they both did that. So for my sister and I, we would go to the track growing up, like when we were real little. Like they were still racing when my sister was a baby. My mom actually drove when she was pregnant with my sister. I know, right?
No way.
Right? Yeah. It's different. Way back then. They were doing that. I think I was in like a baby pumpkin seat then. Was still going to the track, and eventually they're just like too much. 2 kids.
Yeah.
And race car, like family stuff. You can't do both. Got to figure it out. So then the car was always in my grandma's garage. So when we were always over there, that was the first thing I would always go into, is like go play in the garage and like climb in the car and like pretend that I'm driving. So I've always wanted to drive it. I think it was, like middle school. My dad sold the car and I was so mad because I wanted to drive it. It's like, oh, come on, like, oh, we would be so good at it. Because that's what we would do every summer, is our vacations were Cedar Point and the national race for drag racing. Those are the places we go. We wouldn't really go anywhere else. My dad doesn't like crowds, but the crowds for racing or tolerate at the amusement park for my sister and I. So that's it. He also worked third shift, so that's kind of hard to like deal with, like fixing schedules for things like that.
Right. Growing up with that, it's tough.
Right. So, that's kind of how that happened. So for us, that was just like a normal thing. Like we're like always into that. My uncles were always into cars too. So every time we're always like family reunions or just over for holidays, like there's always some kind of car talk. So just growing up, that was just, again, normal conversations in the house. So it's on the TV. My dad would always watch, whatever drag race show was on, or even just like the gearhead shows that are on TV, like that was on.
Yeah, and that's what is tattooed on you, right? On your foot. Is the car? Is the car?
Their drag race car.
Their drag race car. Yeah.
So my dad was against, the whole tattoo thing, and I was gonna like say, okay, whatever. In college, I came home one winter break and I'm like, Mom, let's go. I'm going to go get one. And she was like, okay, cool, let's go. And she thought I was just going to get a Clover that I've always wanted to get. And she's like, okay. And I changed my mind and I told the guy, I'm like, this is what I want. I like kind of planned it out because I know she wouldn't care because she thought it would be fine. She's like talked about like getting like a hot air balloon or some other fun, cute little thing. And she's like, oh, that's really cool. She's like, maybe your dad will be okay with it now.
Yeah, because it's sentimental. Yeah, nostalgic.
It means something. So
right. Yeah. How many tattoos do you have?
1, 2, 3. Technically 4, but the one on the back is like fixed. So
yeah,
3.
Okay. Yeah. What would you get for your 4th one?
There's so many that I would like. I don't know what I would get.
No, yeah, not yet. Yeah. Well, what got you into Formula One? Tell us about your. You were going to tell me fun facts.
Oh, fun facts. Well, it's still
earlier when we were debating what to talk about on the Tonight Show. You were like, "I'm going to tell you fun facts about Formula One."
Oh, fun facts. Mostly, I was just going to give you like clips and stuff that we were watching on like about the show and like funny inside jokes and stuff like that. how I got into that before is like, again, like family stuff.
Because your
like,
family stuff, yeah.
You know, my uncles and like my great uncles would watch that too. So
yeah,
my one grandpa's brother was like a huge Ferrari
Ferrari fan.
So
yeah.
You know, anybody out there like Ferrari?
Well, your boy won tonight.
Yes. Yay, Lando.
Yeah, tell us about Lando. Tell us about Lando Norris. Who is he?
Lando drives for McLaren.
Okay. Yeah.
And today won his first actual F1 race.
Yeah.
Good for him. Congratulations.
He made it to first. He got first today.
Yeah, pole position.
Yeah, pole position is the very front car. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Noise.
Look at you go.
I'd one day at a time. It only takes three 12-hour days in a row for me to finally catch on.
Well, how was your experience? What did you take away from this F1 experience?
No, thank you. I appreciate you asking a question. Most guests don't. Yikes. Just kidding. No, Wiki. I think there's a crickets button, but it doesn't work.
Well, you don't have the SIM card.
I know that. I was like, I would press crickets button, cricket sound. I had a great time. I knew nothing about this. All I knew was that we were going to Miami. So obviously I'm never not going to say yes to Florida, mostly because I'm surrounded by lethal Havana everywhere. But no, I had a great time. Miami's a really fun town. I get it why people love hanging out here and partying here and having fun. I did not know what to expect for the Formula One race. I just figured I didn't know why they needed 3 days to do a car race. And I just figured, did you show up? You watch the race. It happens. Like in my head, I'm thinking all the American styled things like the Indy races or the NASCAR races where you go for that one thing and they all have a starting time and then they just start and they run for either that amount of time or that many laps of time. And then by the end of the laps, that's it. That's the end of the race. But this had the 2 days of the qualifying races and sprint races to get to the Grand Prix.
It was definitely an action-packed weekend.
So yeah, it was a lot. And I definitely don't regret coming, but now I at least know what to do and how to kind of pace myself probably the next time if we ever do a full 3-day session. Otherwise, I can understand why some people only buy the Sunday ticket, the final day ticket, where they're like, okay, I'm just going to come to the actual race after everybody's qualified and like it is what it is.
Well, again, most of the races are just Friday practice, Saturday qualify, Sunday Grand Prix.
Right.
But with Miami, they also added the sprint race, so they had
Miami had that plus the women racing as well,
and the F1 women's, you know, Formula One Academy race, which was really cool to have them.
Very cool.
See that.
Yeah.
And then they also had the Porsche Carrera Cup, which I think that was the only time they're driving that in North America.
I don't know. Don't look at me, dude.
So. I don't know. We can fact check that in a minute, but
somebody DM Courtney and tell her if she's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm definitely wrong. She's probably right. But yes, so Miami was if you're going to be introduced and you want trial by fire, go to the Miami race, I feel like, because you have all of that stuff to watch and there's so much to do. There's so much to see and there's so many people to learn about. I do kind of regret though that
actually, I take that back. It might be the F1 Academy was the only one driving in Formula, or let's try it again. The F1 Academy was the only one driving in North America circuit this year.
Okay.
So they're driving in other countries, but the Carrera Cup, I take that back, is probably also somewhere else.
Somewhere else too. Okay. Well, I learned a lot. I got to see a lot. It was jam-packed. If the other races, should we decide to do one again, if the other races are as jam-packed as that, then I would either say we do the general admission idea, like what you said, where we can just walk around and save money and kind of like scope out good spots to kind of see the things we actually wanted to see. Or we go all in and we get dope ass seats somewhere with air conditioning and we don't move. So like we stay in our spot and then you can eat and drink and hang out and chill and not have to worry about missing something because you're already in a designated space. You know what I mean? But I do kind of wish the brochure was very catered to the men still. So
Yes.
like when you open the brochure and you look at the schedule for the day, it gives you the schedule for all the racers, but it only shows you the profiles and like the little bios about the male drivers for Formula One. And so you didn't learn anything about the women. The only time you could learn about the women was when the announcers were talking about it. And most of the time the announcers were
not that great.
They were not nice. They were dismissive or straight up pre-explained their statements by admitting I'm about to be misogynistic, but insert comment. It's kind of like you didn't even have to phrase it like that. Like you could have just literally stated the fact, which is driver number 16 or driver number whatever named so-and-so is the first female to do blank. Like you did not have to like, I don't know what kind of sub.
She looks young. Like,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, she's 24, and I don't mean to sound misogynistic, but she might be a little bit young, or she might be the first one. I don't know. I don't know. That part I could have. I don't know if those announcers are the same announcers for every race, but like, that part was
we heard were the
right.
At the track.
Yeah.
They're not the ones that were broadcasted.
Okay. Well, I don't know,
We
but
just got really weird announcers.
Right. And then for the men's one, they were like kind of mean to Carlos. Like, yeah, like, of course he's mad. He's trying to run a race that he cares about. And they kept calling him like a prima donna. Like, oh, well, he's just a professional athlete. This is how all professional athletes talk. And I'll be honest, I couldn't really hear what his radio was saying. So I have no idea what Carlos was talking about other than he was trying to ask permission to move forward.
Go in front of Charles.
Yeah. Can I move?
Because Charles was going at a slower pace and he thought he can go faster than Charles.
Sure.
To get in front of Max.
Yeah.
Like,
and you have
to get close.
Yeah. And that makes sense that you need to coordinate with your engineers and they need to be ready to help you control the cars or do whatever they need to do from their garages and stuff. But like, I don't know. I just thought the announcers were a little bit dismissive, especially of the females when they were running their race or driving in their races, and then the comments that they would make actually during the Grand Prix were very distracting. So like instead of just giving you the play-by-play, because where we were sitting was a great view of two different turns. So we could see them coming around we were at 12. So they were leaving turn 11 and we could hear the crowd. And if there was not enough people sitting there, you could actually see them come around 11. So you'd be ready to start filming when they hit 12, which is exactly where we were seating. And then you could see them leave around 13. So we actually had a great view of a very skilled turn that all of them had to make. So I really loved being able to see that, and you could hear the crowd and kind of plan out your photos and your videos very well. But yeah, no, it was very distracting because if the crowd was going, the announcers were talking, you couldn't quite hear really what was going on, and I didn't feel like I was fully paying attention sometimes when things were going through. It's kind of like, why don't you just state fact? Who's in first through fifth? Where are people going? What are they doing? Right. Like, you don't have to question whether or not what they ate for breakfast, or like how old they are, or did they comb their hair to the left or the right today to, for luck. How fast is their pit stop? The number one record is 1.8 seconds. It's like, well, let's wait. Let's count down. No, he had 2.5. It's really slow. Like, okay. And he got out. He's still ahead. Like, I don't know. But so I would love to see the brochures be more descriptive. If you're going to have that many racers, it would be nice to be able to actually follow along, especially if some of the female drivers in the Formula One Academy were completing world records at that moment, or they were completing personal records at that moment. It would have been cool to like associate those people with those cars and find out more about them. But to answer your question, would I go to another race? Yes. Would I do it again? Yes. Do I know anything about these teams well enough to pick a team yet? No.
That's okay. You don't have to pick a team.
But Carlos is cute, and I know he needs a home, and if he needs a place to crash in the meantime until somebody hires him, he is welcome in Nashville, Tennessee. I will DM you my address, Carlos. Fly over whenever you want. But yeah, no, it was cool. I liked it a lot. So thanks for taking me and not murdering me while I learned any of this.
I'm glad you got to come with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I was not going to murder you at all.
If you haven't murdered me after that trip to Hawaii in 2016, where I'm never gonna die. I'm gonna live forever in this friendship.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So Courtney, this podcast, or did you say everything you wanted to say about Formula One before we move on?
For now.
For now, okay. This podcast is called the What Now podcast, and so a lot of the times I ask the guests about personal stories when they've had what now moments. You've witnessed a lot of my own over the last 10 plus years now, and I was hoping that we could connect with you a little bit to share some of your what now moments, or moments where you felt maybe lost or in a period of transition, trying to figure out what it is you want to do. And I know personally, we've talked a couple of times about, like, you know, us opening a bar and calling it band camp, and me having a kayak shack next door and doing kayak tours and selling kayaks, and then me coming over to band camp and stealing the MC mic and running faux karaoke night at your bar. But since that's down the ways in our dreams,
Mm-hmm.
tell us how things are going now. Well, what are you up to? Where are you at? What are you thinking about? Can you tell us about a time when you have felt lost? And what did you do in that moment to address those feelings and pull yourself out of that?
Does now still count?
Yes, now
it still count. I still feel like I'm wandering around in the woods like, la 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 la. This is okay. This is still working. Maybe not. We'll still walk over here and figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah. Because we've talked throughout the years of, like, I mean, well, you've overcome a lot, right? Like, you left home. Your parents they're still in Ohio. You moved to DC, a city I'm assuming, had never been to before. You had done your internship in Hawaii, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a government agency, and it was amazing, and you had a wonderful time, and you fell in love with Hawaii. But then you moved to DC for a similar industry, and it's just not what you thought it would be. How did you handle that, moving to that new city? You're away from your family, other than your sister, but your sister works a lot, so, like, you didn't, I'm assuming, see her much. So you're essentially on your own until you can make your own friend group. So how did that feel, and what did you do when you made that kind of a drastic change in your life?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm trying to think about. I feel like ever since I was little, it's been okay. It's this season. It's volleyball season, then it's basketball season, then it's track, then it's swimming or softball. It's go, 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 go. So I'm still used to everything changing, and nothing's really slowed down. It was a change from when I did graduate and there was no more, like, athletics to do. So I was like, oh shit, what do I do after I graduate and I have no more sports? Like, that was a weird thing to kind of, like, get used to. But, like, I think working a real job and then actually having other part-time jobs and trying to help family and do some other stuff and just work, and I feel like I just, like, made extra work for myself sometimes or just, like, filled the extra time,
Because you
or
didn't have the
just
sports
like I just
going
didn't
on.
have like I just felt like I filled the time. I don't know.
It sounds like, so to me, it sounds like you used to have a life that was very scheduled and you had stuff back to back. So you didn't get a lot of downtime. So you got used to and probably had energy off of being relatively active and doing all those things. And when you came to DC, it was just 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5 over and over and over again. But
or there was jobs that, like, we had extra time that they had to burn on the contract. So they're like, okay, open time. There's free overtime. Like, do as much as you want. And I'm like, cool, challenge accepted. Not the best thing for Courtney to do, but it was done.
Yeah. I mean, it helped. DC is expensive and commuting was expensive. And
Right.
I don't know what they paid you when you first started at our initial contract, but like, I thought it was amazing. And it's kind of like, oh, child, you have no idea what's about to happen to you when you get there. And I could not have survived in DC if
circus peanuts.
Yeah. If my parents did not supplement my circus peanuts with popcorn and cotton candy and soda and a funnel cake. Like,
and a hot meal and place to stay.
And a hot meal and a place to stay. Please, Father, don't abandon me yet. I swear, I'm going to make you really, really proud one day. And then I'm going to abandon it 10 years later and be like, F this, I'm flipping the table. Goodbye forever. Just kidding, I'm coming home. Yeah, I don't need therapy at all. Anyway. Yeah, no, and then that's a lot, right? And like, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a lot. Well, since you left a athletic life, what did you have transferable skills? Like, what did you take from your previous positions and your previous experiences and transition to your life in DC? What was useful in transferring your skills from things that you learned from being an athlete into being an analyst?
Well, I'm thinking.
Insert Jeopardy song.
I know.
But there's no SIM card.
I think it's just more like differently compartmentalized in my brain differently. It's just like athlete Courtney is different than job Courtney. And then friend Courtney is different than also those other two people. So
okay.
I think that's really hard for me to compare them, if that makes any sense.
Are they separated as in these are different personalities of Courtney, or these are wholeheartedly separate like phases of your life, Courtney? So like athlete chapter of Courtney is closed, so it's kind of hard to open that chapter again, and now you're working Courtney.
I don't think personalities.
Yeah.
I think definitely the same personality for sure. Like,
because I feel like you're the same.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think the things I had to do in college to get through classes and sports and practice and just like everything is completely different than getting through a 12-hour shift to drive home to then also make food is probably a parallel, but then also different to me. So, I mean, I guess
to me it sounds like
I guess it is the same. So, like,
I mean, endurance.
Like it is similar, but I guess I've always thought of it as two different things, like two different lifestyles, but also I guess they are the same if I talk about it out loud. Jesus, stop.
No. It sounds to me it sounds like you transferred a lot of your time management skills, your endurance, and your dedication, right? So like if you pick something that you love or a lifestyle that you're going for, and at the time collegiate athlete Courtney was dedicated to that job. She was paid to be the athlete. She was doing.
I never got paid for that.
Oh,
E3.
I thought you were scholarship.
No? Not for athletics.
Oh, for your brain?
Yes.
For your beautiful brain?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, anyway,
making that clear.
No, that's fine. I don't. That's okay. That's my bad. No, but like, yeah, you're doing your job as collegiate athlete Courtney, and then you're doing the same thing in DC. So I think that's definitely transferable skills. Time management, endurance, your focus, your determination to be given a goal and you have to meet it. Again, I didn't do college. I was not a college athlete, but like I figured you probably have like certain goals you're supposed to meet each year, right? To like improve upon your skill, or like if you're doing, did you say discus or shot put? Yep. You want to go a little bit further, or you're supposed to gain an inch or a foot every year, or
yeah, you still want to progress.
Sure. You want to progress. I don't know. So like, you're doing the same. You're doing the same now.
I guess I just never thought about it that way.
Yeah, definitely. You described yourself as college Courtney, work Courtney, and friend Courtney. Talk to me a little bit about friend Courtney. what does friend Courtney value, and why are her friendships so important, and how have friendships helped you through your hardest times or your darkest times or your moments of transition and loss? And
I'm thinking about this, so I can.
That's okay. Take your time.
I think for me, friendships are very important. It's people that I trust. I can always count on them. They're always there. And it's not just them. It's usually I'm very close with them and their family. And it's when their family also can like accept me in with their family. It's also like kind of, I don't know, like kind of fun that they treat me like one of their own. Like I don't have to be like your kid, but like just that, hey, how's your friend doing? Like you remember who I am, and like you can talk about me, or your family knows who I am. Like if you can't talk about me, then I'm just an associate, so I'm not really a friend. So like a friendship is if my mom, my mom can hardly remember names, but she knows who my closest friends are. She always asks who they are. So sometimes when I'm like questioning that, like who my friends are, it's who she brings up the most. Like, hey, I haven't heard you talk about so and so. And then I'm like, okay, I know exactly who my friends are because my mom or dad asked about them. Or randomly, my other aunts and uncles have asked about my friends, like, oh, I haven't seen you talk about so and so. Like, how are they? Because they've, through growing up with my elementary school best friends, they've been around my family a lot and ask about them as well. So to me, it's not just about being friends. Like if other people know how close you are with people that you have a really good bond with, that's really important to me. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. So, should we tell people about our friendship?
We can.
We can. No, I am honored to be. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you were talking about me. So, honored to be included in that group because my family, every time I go back to Kingsport or Knoxville, they're always like, "So where's Courtney? How's she doing? What's she up to?" And it was funny. The first time I ever brought quote unquote brought Courtney home to meet the family, it was Thanksgiving, and that might have been what 2017,
18, 17 or 18. It was
must have because it was. It had to have been 17. I'm pretty sure because I remember who I was dating at that time. And
I'm the one that got to go home.
And you got to go home with me. Yeah. Well, and I was driving us back to DC and I dropped you off at my place because we got your car and then I went over to their house. But anyway, I take Courtney home because she at the time was kind of flipping back and forth. You couldn't always, sometimes you were able to go home for both Thanksgiving and Christmas if things were going well and you had the time, but sometimes you had to pick one or the other. And so that year you chose Christmas. And so I told you should just come to Thanksgiving with my family because, they love you and there's an extra space and they'd be happy to have you. And, my Aunt Robin at the time was throwing a huge, Thanksgiving dinner and it'd be great.
Yep.
So we take her to my parents' house. At the time was still my great grandmother's house, and she meets Jackson and my mom and my dad, and we play a game of what is it, Veritas, Veritruce, Virtuoso. I don't know. It starts with a V, but it's a card game where you have to basically play really extreme truth or dare. but it's mostly a bunch of truths. Basically, I dare you to tell the truth about blank. And it was...
Yeah, it was like about what happened that year.
Yeah. You have to talk about the year past and the year forward, and then rarely, maybe there's 4 cards that were like present day questions. But essentially, you had to... It's a card game that makes the whole group talk to each other. So you either play a card that makes you tell the truth, or you play a card that makes everybody in the circle tell their truth. And it would vary based on the type of question. And it would either be a year backwards, where you would have to talk about what did you do or what did you think in the past year, and then what did you do, or what are you doing, or what are you thinking about for the year future. And the point was to play the game every year, so that way you could be reflective on what happened and share your experiences with people. But Jackson and my mom played the game for real and told real answers, and it got very deep very quick. And of course, with my family, if you're drinking and playing this game, it's quite the way to be introduced. And so my mom spent the rest of the weekend being like, is Courtney afraid of us? Like, does she ever want to be friends with us again? Like, is she okay? Like, did we scare her? Did we force her to tell things she never wanted to tell ever? And I was like, yeah, you got her to talk more than she's ever talked in her entire life. Like, to complete strangers. Like,
yeah, I don't share very often.
Yeah. So the fact that she even admitted she had a mom and dad to you was wild. So that happened. And then we made her go to Thanksgiving, where she had to eat hot fruit at my aunt's house. No, I'm teasing. Aunt Robin, I love you. This was a joke. No, Aunt Robin made Thanksgiving dinner that year, and one of her desserts is the hot fruit that she bakes in the oven. And my grandmother, Shirley, or Grammy, that's one of her favorite desserts, is the hot fruit. But anyway, the point of the story is that I
don't think it was weird.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Half the family teases Robin about it, and then Robin still makes it every year anyway, and basically give that to everybody. It's like, Shirley likes it, I'm gonna make it. Jerry likes it, I'm gonna make it. No big deal. But point of the story, I traumatized Courtney by making her play extreme truth or dare with my parents, and then I take her to my aunt's house where everybody thinks that we're dating. And because I introduced Courtney to the room and then left her because I went around and talked to my cousins or like went to eat or whatever, my aunt and uncle were very offended because they were like, if you treat your girlfriend like this,
and I had no idea what was going on.
Me neither. Well, I didn't know.
Liquor cabinet.
Yeah, no. They tell Courtney to like make herself at home, have whatever you want, try whatever you want. Here's the bathroom, here's the TV, hang out, watch football. Yeah, it was a lovely house. But yeah, but but Courtney's independent. We had been friends for a long time. We had survived a trip in Hawaii together. Like, I figured she could survive one dinner party without me. Like, if I wasn't next to her the entire time, she'd be okay. Courtney's the most social, kind, outgoing person ever. So you could leave her in a corner and she'd make best friends with the wall. So yeah, I thought it was fine. But apparently my aunt and uncle were judging me real hard.
Because your uncle and
yeah.
Talking to the bar that we were gonna eventually,
the bar we would open, and she got everybody
lifting and
yeah. Because anyway,
well, but also you and your cousin, like, weren't you arguing and then you guys ran off?
Okay, we're not even done yet. We're not even close to done.
Yeah, okay,
that's true. That was also that Thanksgiving. Fuck. Okay. Anyways, so apparently while Courtney's talking to Taylor about powerlifting and football and stuff, my aunt was reprimanding me because I had left you alone for too long, and that if she had ever treated a girlfriend the way that I was treating my girlfriend, she would hope that girlfriend would break up with me or whatever. Like, she's never going to call you back. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I can't believe you're treating your girlfriend like that. You just left her alone for the whole party. And it's like, Courtney's not my girlfriend. And they're like, what? Why not? What's wrong with Courtney? Is Courtney not good enough for you? And I'm like, Courtney likes dudes. Like, I have no chance. Are you kidding me? I could try, but like, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. So that happened where they all thought I they all thought I was in love with you, but I told them I wasn't in love with you. And then they got mad. They were like, why? You're making a mistake. I'm like, okay, excuse me. My bad. And then, yes, eventually at the time, my younger cousin had been drinking, and she did make a comment about one of my ex-boyfriends. I have only ever introduced one actual partner to my family before. Obviously, I've had friends around before, but I've only ever actually introduced one partner. And that particular partner was very invested in my family life. And they... So I've never actually told this story on the podcast at all, mostly because it's not a romantic podcast, and I don't talk about sex and relationships that often. And if I do, it's very vague for privacy reasons for the partners. But right after high school, I met someone through a mutual friend at my high school graduation party, and they were from New Zealand, and I had never been to New Zealand before, and we fell in love and dated long distance for essentially the entire time. We never lived in the same city, but they did eventually move to the United States and got a job in Tennessee, but I was still in college at Ole Miss. And so they were attempting to get a visa to fully transfer and eventually a green card and become a U.S. citizen, but it was going to take a very long time to do that. And I was around 20, maybe 21 years old. And the time came where they needed to either go back to New Zealand and redo their paperwork and get a new visa, or you could essentially do 90-day fiance before 90-day fiance was a thing. And long story short, we decided not to do that. And eventually that person was told by the US government that your paperwork did not go through and you have a finite insert number of days, finite amount of time to leave the country. And so we broke up because we did not think that it was working anymore. And they left. And my cousin decided to bring that up during Thanksgiving. And it was a very awkward thing to have happen in front of Courtney because I don't talk about this person. I don't bring this person up. I try and give them as much space as possible. But my cousin was speaking very derogatorily about them and being dismissive about that relationship and making it seem like everything was that person's fault when it wasn't. And it hurt my feelings. And I did not know how to stand up to that person or at least say something when the entire family started agreeing with that statement. And I left the room to go cry in the bathroom because that's the only thing I knew how to do. And from what I understand about the rest of the story, my brother stood up and said to everybody in the room, it's not that person's fault. You know, they weren't allowed to stay. They would have been together if it could have worked out, but it didn't. So drop it. And I never brought it up again because she had been drinking and it's not the time to try and have a serious conversation to explain to someone else the reality of that relationship and everything. And especially to someone that wasn't in it and who only saw certain sides, especially the near end of it, where things were not going as well as they could have been going. So of course you're going to be protective of your cousin because you love your cousin, not because you truly believe that that other person is unworthy of kindness. So that was terrible. And I felt awful and embarrassed that happened in front of Courtney, of course. But yeah, that is why I ran away. Because it was never that person's fault, and they didn't treat me badly. It just didn't work out. And when you are 20 or 21, you don't know any better. A lot of the times you don't know any better, and you make emotional decisions, either rightly or wrongly. And I do believe that at that time I went with my gut, and I made the decision that was right for me, despite the overwhelming amount of pressure that was coming from all different sides. Everybody that had an opinion about whether things were good or bad or whatever. Yeah. But I never really got to patch that situation up after the fact. That person has now moved on. They are remarried, or not remarried. They're only marriage, but they have moved on. They are married with kids and seem to be very happy. And I wish that person nothing but the best, because that's what they deserve. So, yeah. And it's not like Courtney didn't know I was a crier. I'm sure I cried a lot in the office. So that probably did not faze her at all. I'm sure it probably worried you that I was upset at a party and there was nothing you could do about it, especially after watching my own family cause it. But it kind of is what it is. So long story short, it was quite a shit show to introduce her to my family, but I'm honored to be included, because now, ever since that party, ever since that Thanksgiving, every single person in my family has met multiple friends, and the only one they ever talk about or ask about or wonder about or hope is doing well is Courtney.
Feel very honored.
So feel special, okay? I'm sorry if that was awkward. It felt good to say that, though.
Glad you got to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe one day when I'm, unbanned from that aspect of my life, maybe I can finally give it the closure that it needs. But that's a future Amanda problem.
It's okay. Doesn't have to be today.
Yeah, definitely not. So Courtney, how do you define success? What is success to you?
Like just in general success? Or...
Yeah, it's one of the questions I usually ask most of the guests. So I'm like running through it. Like how will you know when you are successful?
Do we ever know, honestly? I mean, if you like make goals and you actually reach them, then you feel like you're successful, but
is that enough?
I don't know. I feel like that's an internal thing. Is anything ever enough? Do you always want more? Are you content with where you're at? Do you need to improve? Like, you want more? This is, I feel like if you just try at what you want to do, or like attempt to it, there's always going to be tweaks and changes to your plan.
Yeah.
So as long as you keep making movements towards it, that's really all you need. Just don't stay in one place. Don't stay stagnant in your changes. Keep going.
Yeah. So even if you haven't made it to what you believe to be as your end goal, as long as you're continuing to move forward and you're making some kind of progress, that's success.
Yeah.
So the consistency to keep showing up for yourself is success.
I think so.
Yeah. Do you have a life motto? And if so, what is it?
I don't think I have one yet.
No.
I think I just like sing song lyrics most of the time to.
Oh, because I was actually about to say, are you sure it's not I like big butts and I cannot lie? No.
Are you sure that's not yours?
No, I think mine's something in Spanish. I just can't rattle it off right now because I'm emotionally disturbed.
So sorry.
Oh, actually, I have one in my head, but it's not a life motto.
What? You can always think. Wait, this is what you. I can't turn down free beer.
Oh God. Okay. All right. So one thing to know about me and Courtney, if you ever go on vacation with us, all you need to do is put us at the bar. All right. We will sit down and turn our seats into the golden seats. So either we will start sitting there and meet all the people in the bar and get all the rounds of drinks or freebies or whatever, or we'll be at the bar and we're going to meet all the people and can wingman for you or whatever, or we'll be at the bar and we get the best stories. And so tonight was one of the funniest stories because the two guys next to us, kind of, I guess you can explain it in terms of life mottos.
Oh yeah. So we're kind of at the corner of the bar. And the guy next to me and his friend were actually at the corner. We're sitting there. They were also at the F1 race because they had their gear on. And another gentleman sat down next to them, was not a part of the F1 race. So they were all kind of talking, and I was kind of overhearing their conversations about, the usual conversations. Then the one friend left to go back up to their hotel room, and then the other guy was just still talking to the other
Third guy. Yeah.
Third guy,
yeah. Yellow hat.
So giving him more just life advice about career, cars, and then women. And it turned in when the bartender came over, asked them more drinks, things like that. He said, yeah. And then he bought the third guy a drink, and he's like, oh, are you sure? You don't have to do that. And he's like, here's the thing. I don't ever turn down free beer or free pussy. I'm just like, okay, here we go.
Oh, yikes. Yeah. And then he tried to encourage him to ask the bartender for her number too.
Mm-hmm.
But we mistakenly thought that he was trying to buy shots.
Right. I really thought he was going to buy Amanda drinks because they were talking about their preference of women and
oh, ew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You didn't tell me this part.
Well, how was it going to let me just relay everything that they're saying because they're 2 feet from me.
You were supposed to slyly turn around.
I was trying to
and tell me.
I'm not going to Darth Vader hand you like this.
No. Ostrich hand. Yeah, ostrich hand. Separate story. Another story about drunk Amanda. But.
Yes, but it's Cinco de.
It's Cinco de Ostrich.
What was it?
No, Cinco de Drinko is what that other guy said.
May the 4th, and then May the 6th. What's the other one that they do? There's 3 in a row.
Oh, I don't know.
May the 4th be with you. No, that's a 6th.
And one. Also with you.
No, bless you. You can cut this out because now I really gotta think about what.
No. Second guy bought yellow guy a beer.
We already finished that story.
Oh, you were telling us the preference in women because they were going down the list of things that they had in common. Yeah. And we thought they were going to buy me shots because you overheard them talking about taking shots.
No. Oh, they were talking about their preference in women, and they were talking about blue eyes. And they were talking about you and your eyes, and then the bartender women, the lady. No, Ray.
Ray.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's what I was like, oh, great, here we go. This is going to turn into one of those.
She has blue eyes. I'm going to go talk to her. Here's the thing. You always lose 100% of the shots you don't take.
And that was a quote he told him.
Yeah, that's the only part I heard of that whole night. Because the rest,
then you're like, oh my God, let's go.
Well, yeah, because you told me they were going to buy us shots, and I was like, no, we have to turn.
Never a thing. It was
one. Thank God it wasn't. Thank God it wasn't though, because that would have been awkward to avoid, and now all the pressure was put on the bartender instead.
Yeah.
So yeah. But did you notice though that they did not invite them to come back? They just said thank you, have a good night after they signed their tab and they left. Versus the two bartenders came over and they're like, what were your names again? You know, please come back to Miami.
Shout out to Ray and Felipe.
Please come back to Miami. You know, please come see us anytime. You know, anytime you're in the area.
Yeah, come back for breakfast.
Yeah, no,
Ray, you're not even working. Why would we come back?
Yeah, why would we come back if our friends aren't here? What's the point? Yeah, so that's the point of this story is just to say that if you want to go on vacation with us, put us at the bar and we will get the best stories or the best drinks or the best recommendations, basically.
Yes.
We'll get the best.
It helped that one couple with the drinks. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you did help them.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Great job.
Oh, God. We've laughed. We've cried. What else can we do on this show?
Was sword fighting with fans.
Oh, yeah. You want to tell that story? You want me to do it? Okay. All right. So we get back. We sign our bill. We come home. Or not home, but we come back to the hotel. And we're carrying all of our stuff from the day out of the car. And one of the hotel workers is in the hallway and he can see us coming into the side door out of the parking lot. And he walks out of that spare room that's got the extra towels in it. And he's holding a stack of towels and he lets us into the hotel. And we say thank you. And we get on the elevator with him because he's going up. And we get in. And during the day, earlier that day, Courtney and I had been to the Hendrix Gin pop-up bar at the Formula One stadium area. And while we were there, they were handing out refreshment towels, branded refreshment towels and branded fans, like foldable fans where you can, like paper fans where you could, you know, cool yourself off during the day. And we had our fans folded up.
Like nice fans.
Very, very nice fans. I'm bringing it home to Leslie because I think she will like it. Plus, it's got her favorite gin on it. Anyway, we had the fans folded up, and for whatever reason, Courtney's was sticking out in front of me. And so I took mine while we're in the elevator with this man. I took mine and tapped hers hard, like sword fighting. And then Courtney retaliated, and then I kept going and then retaliated back and forth a couple more times. And the hotel worker just busts out laughing, like head all the way back, mouth wide open, laughing.
Belly laughed so hard.
Belly laughed at God, and then says, I guess that's how it's going to be. And then Courtney's like, yeah. And then we walk out. And then laugh the whole way to our room. It was funnier when in the moment. You had to be there. But yeah, it was good. It was good. We're hoping we can see him in the morning and say goodbye to him. And we think he'll remember. Because it was pretty funny.
It was a good story for him, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely going to repeat that.
Girls were on the elevator.
So I let in these two crazy chicks, right? They look normal. I let them in. They're wearing their Formula One stuff. They must have been here all weekend, kind of a deal. Oh, yeah. They get in the elevator and they start friggin' sword fighting, yo. Sword fight. Just stabbing each other with these brown sticks.
Never opening the door.
Never letting them in.
Again.
Never letting them in. No. Never letting them in. Making them show their IDs. Making them tell me what room they're in.
Card right in.
Go around the front. Go around to the front. Absolutely not.
We close. No.
Go away. Who are you? The Hilton? The Hampton? Oh, you're in the wrong place.
Across the street.
Goodbye. No, I'm just playing. He was very, very nice. And I'm glad that we made him laugh. But like straight up, head back, mouth wide open, laughing at God. Like that's how deep of a laugh he had about what we did. But it was funny. I'm hilarious. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, we made his night.
Yeah. Okay, so let's try and recover a little bit of this train wreck of an episode. What would you say has been your greatest achievement so far?
You know, I've thought about this. I'm like, ooh, one day I'm going to be on her show and I'm going to be prepared. Am I? No.
Okay, but we sprung this right after a 3-day long event with sunshine and tequila, and typically I give all the guests an outline. I'm much more professional about it, but you and I are
That's
winging
okay.
it today.
It's totally okay.
We're going to call it like the Wing Woman Tuesday episode. Tits Up Tuesday. I don't know.
Fake champagne.
fake champagne on her titties.
Travel butter.
Yeah, fake Ferrari champagne on her titties. That's the title of the episode.
I like it. I like it. We have pictures to go with it.
Oh God, yeah, you're gonna have to send me those.
Yep.
That way I can put them on the podcast covers.
Okay, let me think about this.
Yeah, your greatest achievement. God, stay focused.
I'm trying.
This is a serious show. I'm trying to build my future right now.
If it's serious, why I'm here? Oh,
No. It's important. No, seriously though. No.
I'm trying. Okay.
No, people need to. I would not be where in all seriousness, I would not be where I am today if I didn't have your friendship in my life. If I hadn't met you and Mary Kate in what did we call it? The cubicle, the box, the room,
The cave.
Yeah, that place. If I hadn't met
Emotional damage.
Yeah, see, it was so bad I blocked it out. No, if I hadn't met y'all in the cave, like my whole life in DC would have been completely different. My major transitions, like I came out of a relationship that had nearly damaged. When I met you guys, I was in a relationship that had nearly ruined my relationship with my parents. A romantic relationship that I was in nearly ruined my relationship with my parents. That ended. You and I bond because we crashed Mary Kate's family vacation because Mary Kate invited us but didn't tell her family she invited us, and then we showed up and they all freaked out. And
yeah. Sorry,
right,
Jane family.
Yeah, and then after that, me and Mary Kate start, country hopping all over the world and became fast friends, and we still are to this day. And like, Mary Kate got out before us. She moved away for her own, specific transitional reasons. And I'm hoping someday she'll be willing to come on the show and talk to me about that too. Like taking a risk on yourself, and like out of all of us, she did it first. And so I felt comfortable taking risk on my own too. And going full time with the Bureau was a big one. And I had to move away from you guys. And like a lot of my friendships in DC are still there and they're good, but like a few of them did not survive that transition. So like I know you were laughing about why you're here, but you're here for a reason, because you've also done these things, and I would not be where I am today if I didn't have your friendship. Like if I didn't have people believing in me and supporting me, and one, listening to the show, but truly being willing to be vulnerable and get a little weird on the internet with me.
Well, here I am.
Yeah.
No problems.
no problem.
Anytime.
Yeah. So what's your greatest achievement? That's a legitimate question, because that's something I ask all the guests, and you're a real guest.
Right. And it is a hard one.
It is a very hard one. And it could be anything. Anything you want. Anything that you're most proud of that you've ever done.
I guess career-wise, just kind of battling through and staying with it in DC. I mean, contracting isn't easy. We've learned that.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Just hopping from a couple of years. I mean, just having a goal of staying with a company for 3 years, that sounds minimal, but it's so hard. I haven't even done that yet. So just trying to do that. I haven't even achieved that. I've stayed in the same building for over 3 years, so I think I'm getting closer.
You're almost there.
I'm getting closer. So one day I'll get to stay with the same company for over 3 years. But, just staying alive and growing with the career, that's still a good achievement. I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
because it's hard. It's not easy. It's been hard. I'm staying away from family. Other than that, health-wise, there's been a few things that tackled and made it through. So those have been great. It's actually been 9 years.
It's massive
This
achievement.
weekend. So
happy anniversary, Courtney.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
So cancer free.
Nice.
So
look at you go. Look at you being alive, even though your body tried to kill you.
Take that.
Take that, cells.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a massive achievement. Definitely don't undersell that at all. You should be extremely proud of that. And you continue to take care of yourself and others who also deal with that. So that's massive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you could give yourself advice 10 years ago, what would it be? Other than don't be friends with Amanda.
Oh, no, that would still be the same. Where were we 10 years ago?
We were still in the cave. So that was 2014. Literally, actually, it'd be the anniversary, probably either this week or next week would be the anniversary of me and Mary Kate showing up in the cave. So our first week in the cave was May.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Sidetrack.
No, it's okay. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Or what did you said skirt?
Squirrel.
No, I said squirrel, but you said squirrel. I thought you said skirt. Like,
oh, I did do that one earlier.
Or whatever.
Skirt. Like breaks.
Yeah.
Skirt. Okay.
Just to sidetrack you further. When
That's not that hard.
No, when I was a baby, since we're talking about noises, when I was a little baby, we lived in East Nashville, not South Nashville, where I grew up. But my parents lived in my mom's house that she had bought in East Nashville, and there was this really steep hill that you had to turn left onto 16th and go down this steep hill and then right back up to get to where we lived. And my parents used to always tell me that when we would go down the hill, I would throw my little hands up and be like, wee, like we were on a roller coaster. And then when we would get back up to the top of the other hill, I'd go ertz for the brakes. Wee, ertz. So you're doing skirt, and I would just do ertz.
Okay.
Ertz.
Skirt. Okay. What would I tell myself?
Yeah, what would you tell yourself? What did 10 years ago, Courtney? What did 2014 Courtney need to hear that she did not know?
Gosh, probably a lot of things. I was unhinged then.
No, go ahead. Tell her. Tell her how you really feel.
Probably take that bartending class now instead of this year and actually do it then. So you can actually work on that. Use that as your part-time job and have fun with it. And probably practice more patience. I definitely needed more patience then because I would do a lot of because I still do this too. Say things before I actually know what I'm saying. So I really would surprise myself sometimes and be like, oh shit, did I just say that? So I would probably need to think before I speak a lot more then.
Sure.
So patience, think before you speak. Actually take the time and be like, do you need to say that? Should you be saying that? Does that need to be said right now? Is that just an internal thought? And take that bartending class. All your friends will be happy when you do. So
that's right.
Yes.
You get to spread more joy as you pour rum down their throats.
Yes.
Más diplomático, por favor.
Isn't there a song?
Oh, I have no idea. Probably.
I'm going to have to think so.
You can look it up. Yeah.
See, there's a song for everything.
Probably.
There always is.
Especially in Spanish.
Yeah. My favorite. Smooth operator.
That is not this episode, that's for sure. Oh gosh.
I'll show you all the funny memes.
Now that I'm in on the joke, you have to. Yeah. So for all of my listeners who may be going through transitional parts in their life or loss moments in their life, what advice would you give somebody who's going through a tough time like that? And what would you say to them?
You won't be lost forever. If you have someone to talk to and you trust them, just talk it out with someone. Sometimes just talking out, hearing yourself say it out loud is helpful. Sometimes they can give you some good advice. You don't have to be alone in it. It's totally okay to talk to somebody about it. So, yeah, definitely helpful.
Absolutely. I think reaching out for help, whether that's through your own personal support system or a professional support system, is always a good idea. Don't ever wait to get really deep stuck in that rut. It's so much harder to get out of a hole that's 10 feet deep versus 6 or 3 or not a hole.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if it's thimble deep, it doesn't even matter.
Thimble deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. If an anthill is in your backyard,
right.
Call the raid guy. Yeah.
Right. Even though we're laughing about it, it's still, sometimes those days it is such
no, it's dark.
Impossible feat. It's important.
What are some things that help brighten your day when you are in a place like that? What brings you back to feeling better?
Some like happy music. Usually I have like a playlist or something that I have like of all my favorite upbeat or just like really fun songs that I like to sing. So I usually sing those or just like calling somebody to chat with them.
Yeah.
That I haven't talked to in a while that usually like comes up my serotonin. So
yeah. Do you believe in love languages?
Yes.
Do you know which ones you have or you prefer, or do you have a ranking of the 5?
I think I like to give a lot. But
yeah, you like to give gifts.
Yes. Other than that, I don't know. I'm not really good at receiving gifts. I know that for sure. I like to give gifts.
Right.
Recently. Yeah. What do I do with this? Like, what do I do with my hands? I don't know.
Where do I put this?
What about you? What do you ask?
Well, definitely words of affirmation is a big deal to me. And then probably acts of service. It's probably really tied. We're very close. Probably words of affirmation and then acts of service is secondary that I want to receive. But I also think I probably do the same acts of service, words of affirmation, and then gift giving as what I give to other people. Those are the 3 that I'm probably the best at. And then quality time or physical touch, I'm probably not as good at those things. Not that I'm bad at them necessarily, but they probably rank lower in terms of what I can give. So I probably need to find a partner that either appreciates those other 3 things or helps me practice being better at the other 2 that I don't always provide. But I don't know when that will happen. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, probably that. What are your goals, or what is your goal for 2024? What are you doing and what are you working on this year?
Well, I know no one from work is going to listen to this. So it was to kind of switch around and maybe like get a different job because currently things are not going very well at the office. It's a small team. Things have changed, not by contracting like our decisions. It's just been budget cuts, things like that. So it's been more difficult, but some of the changes are not been the best, and also just really hard to deal with for me personally. But it seems like everybody else that I work with are okay with that. So, which is fine. Everybody deals with it differently. I think I'm just at a place that I can't learn anymore from where I currently am. So I think just maybe finding somewhere else to go, either with the same company or just somewhere else in general, would be something to work for this year. whether that's in the next few weeks or in the next few months, depending on how the conversations I have with my career manager work out. So we'll see how that goes. So TBD on that. Other than that, just work on my bartending activities.
Yeah.
I went through the whole class. I mean, I know you know, but for everybody else that doesn't
tell
know
the
this,
audience.
you don't know because you don't know.
Tell them about your hopes and dreams.
My whole time when I'm like, oh, what a bad day. I'd rather just be at a bar on a beach and just pouring drinks and like making sure somebody else has a better day. Like that's kind of my happy day would be good. So I want to end up like retiring and just like owning a bar or like just working in a bar somewhere on a beach. And that's what I want to do. I remember telling your mom this and that's what you want to do. And I was just like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. She's like, oh, okay. That's nice. I was like, well, not right now. Like, maybe later in life. I was like, okay, I think our mom thinks I'm a weirdo.
No,
but I know she loves me so much.
She does love you so much. She just wants you to be happy.
I'm a weird duck sometimes, but this year
You're
I
my
decided.
weird duck.
I know. But this year I decided to take a bartending class and spent a couple Saturdays and passed, and very excited. I did very well.
Yay!
Haven't done anything with it yet, but we can go back and practice. So hopefully go back and practice on a couple Fridays and see if I can either do a couple events, work on my resume with that.
Yeah.
But they are opening an F1 bar arcade in DC this fall, so hopefully I can try and work there. That's my goal.
That'd be really neat. All right. In a few months, we will check back in with Courtney and see how the F1 bar is going. Yes. And if she likes going fast.
I like fast.
If she's too fast or too furious, we don't know. But we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yay. Great. I love those goals. Everybody send Courtney your good vibes so that way she can accomplish her goals and her hopes and dreams come true. Come to life.
Or your favorite recipe for your favorite drink.
There you go. Yeah, your favorite recipe for your favorite drinks. That way she can practice it and know it. And that way when you visit her at the bar, she'll be able to make it immediately for you.
Yes.
That'd be great. And all the mocktail versions as well, because we're going to be supportive of all lifestyles here on this show.
Correct.
That's right. All customers will have a great time when they visit Courtney.
Oh, yes. Side note on that, when we were at the bar, Bar Taco, yes. Yeah. Their mojito version is a no-hito, and it makes me laugh so hard.
Oh, yeah. That is funny. A no-hito. Yeah. It was a very cute name. That's true.
Yes. So.
Yeah. And their drinks were pretty good, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm kind of delirious. It's probably midnight now because we were out all day and then we went to the bar at night. And when you have 200,000 people trying to leave a stadium all together at the same time, it takes a long time to get home.
We stood in line for 30 minutes just to get on the shuttle bus. And then, which it may or may not sound a very long time, but for how long the line was, that was very fast. Actually.
Yeah, for how long that line really was, it moved pretty quickly. Yeah,
it's like 4 people wide and like a quarter mile long.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long ass line.
It was a long ass line. Like, yeah. That, and then we had to drive 30 minutes to dinner and then
make decisions.
And then make decisions at dinner and then eavesdrop on dudes with their career development choices. And then
didn't have to eavesdrop, it was loud enough.
Well,
I was given no choice.
I had to hear all about it. Yeah, no. But yeah. And then I hoodwinked Courtney into doing this podcast. So insert round of applause sound, but I can't because I don't have the SIM card.
Clap, 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 clap,
clap, clap, clap, clap, clap. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate you. Yeah, I wish you were. I should have just. Actually, I am recording. I was like, I should have recorded you making sounds, and then that way I could save it for the duo,
button?
the Rodecaster Duo buttons. Yeah. And then anytime I put in the applause sound, it's not applause sound. It's just Courtney's voice mimicking applause sound. God. Oh, man.
You have so much editing to do.
So much editing. So much editing. Oh, goodness. Well, Courtney, thank you for coming on the What Now podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Do you have any questions for me? Because I asked you a lot of questions. Did you have any questions for me for the show? Yeah. Yeah.
I guess since you're going on now number 30 of your podcast so far,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what have you learned so much from everybody on your show, or just from you?
Yeah.
You know, kind of talking through things and chatting away.
Yeah. I think from the guests, I have learned that the first thing that comes to mind, it probably sounds like duh, but every single person's What Now moment is so different and so nuanced, but universal in the fact that you feel like you're at the end of your rope and you don't know why, and you have to make a change. You have to come up with some other way to get yourself out of whatever this is. So not necessarily the desperation, but just there's an aha moment in everybody's story at some point where they go, this is it. I'm going to do it today. I'm going to make the switch. I'm going to run that risk. I'm going to open that business. I'm going to stop feeling sorry for myself, or I'm going to finally take that leap or cut that person off, or I'm finally going to do whatever it is you've been telling yourself you're going to do. The trajectory of that story is unique to each person, but there's always an aha moment, because every single person has to wait to reach their moment of I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot, because that trajectory is different, you cannot rush somebody's moment in that. Like, for how much I wish I was over my grief, or how much I wish I was over having issues with feeling disappointed in myself, or being afraid of being a disappointment, and I wish I could push through some of that. I'm not over that yet, but I have at least had my aha moment, because I did finally leave. I did finally put in my 2 weeks notice, so to speak. I did finally make a decision of this is no longer right for me, and I have to figure it out. And I don't have it figured out, so I'm still on my path, but like, that aha moment is so crucial. And if you're still going through it and you just haven't figured it out yet, you will. So it's encouraging that if you're still feeling lost and you're still feeling in the dark or depressed or frustrated or confused or indecisive, the only thing I could say is that I've learned from interviewing all these people that if you haven't made it to that aha moment yet, it means that it's still coming. And at some point you are going to hit that moment and your switch is going to flip. I think you're going to flip a switch and your life is going to start over, and you are going to get on that different path. And as scary as it is right now to be living in that kind of a transition, only you can decide when that moment happens for you. But it's unique to each person, and it's life-changing for each person. And that's the coolest part about interviewing everybody, is because I get to learn about that aha moment. And more often than not, there are multiple aha moments as people grow and progress throughout their life, and, you know, go through all these different life stages and transition periods. So it's just cool to try and interview someone to get down to where does that aha moment actually exist, because a lot of the times people will start telling me a story or start telling me what they believe the answer is to the question that I've given them. But then it actually opens up. When we were in the bureau and you would practice interrogations and interviewing, they would talk about opening the gate. And so if someone's telling you a particular story or giving you an answer they think you want to hear, if you're a skilled interviewer, again, I'm still practicing. And I only had the one training in Quantico. So, but if as a skilled interviewer, you are going to start noticing when the gates open. You don't interrupt someone when they're talking and they're giving you the answer, but you have to mentally start picking up when the gates open and go back to them and walk through them. And that's how you get better at getting to the answer that you want, because people leave you moments where you can either choose to go through it or not to find that. And so it's just been very interesting to drill down to people's specific aha moment. Because I know where mine was, but I'm always curious about where are other people's moments. So that's probably what I've learned from the guests. Mm-hmm. What I've learned from myself is that I definitely probably have a lot to work through personally for how I feel about myself and how I view myself in the world. Since I hung up a lot of my purpose on helping people and helping America and giving back to the country and providing a value without that kind of recognition, because it's a thankless job that I used to do and that you and our friends still do. And as painstaking and repetitive as it might feel, some days, most days, every single piece of information and every single piece of paperwork at some point somewhere was useful for protecting the country. And that used to be a really big deal to me. And I have not figured out how to replicate that in a new way. Not necessarily that exact same job, but that feeling. How do I replicate the joy that it brings to me to help others, whether they know it or not, whether they appreciate it in that moment yet or not? And the podcasting has been something that's been on my mind for years. I've talked about different types of shows that I would want to launch for a long time and concepts that I've wanted to launch for a long time. And for whatever reason, back in October, I guess I had another aha moment where it just kind of clicked, where I was like, you've been thinking about this for forever. You're in a really creative mindset this weekend. Why don't you just record one and see what happens? And now, 30 episodes later, here we are. Like, I'm spilling my guts out on the internet and laughing and crying and admitting all kinds of mistakes and triumphs and questions and discoveries and me learning new things and unlearning bad habits and old habits and discovering things that I like, things that I never would have thought of before or would have tried before if I hadn't been on this podcast and started this podcast, and the sheer bravery that I have to talk to complete strangers and ask them intimate questions or attempt to connect with people that I never would have connected with otherwise is cool. So I think I have so much more work to do on myself still, but it's clear that this project is helping in some way. Whether or not it's the most straight line of a way to get to being a better person, I don't know, but it's a fun zigzag in the meantime. So yeah, that's probably the two main things I've learned so far.
Do you feel like you have put pressure on yourself to make this go quick? Or do you feel like you're just like coasting and that's an okay thing to do? Like, just discover, learn as you go. Like, you're learning your machines and, you're learning it as you go, and that's okay. And how do you feel about that? Like, is everything like this okay? Or are you feeling that that's an okay thing? Because I know, we're all so used to like deadlines, get this done. Like,
get this done, set this rate, or
and
you know when these certain expectations are due and stuff. Yeah, right. No,
and setting goals and things like that. And I know you have goals. We talked about that. So
yeah, no. Honestly, it's a clusterfuck of both, where I'm not okay with the speed at which I'm going now, because I used to be so good at something and now I left that thing. Like, why would you ever give up a thing that you're really, really good at if you actually liked it? And now I'm doing a new thing that I do like, but I know nothing about it. So I guess I mentally, subconsciously beat myself up for not being good enough at something yet, but that's kind of silly because I haven't put in the time yet. So of course I need to learn the equipment. I need to learn the software. I need to learn how to do all the different jobs with the editing and the audio and marketing for it and stuff. And that's coming slowly but surely. And out of a lot of people that are close to me that have listened to the episodes, if they feel so inclined, they have reached out and they do say that, I should be proud of myself for what I'm accomplishing so far and that I am doing a good job so far. And as a words of affirmation person, that is great. But as a person that holds her standards for herself really, really high, I think I would feel better if I knew what I was doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. I would feel more comfortable if I knew what my future, at least if I would feel more comfortable if I knew I even had a future, right? And right now I really don't. I don't know what it is still. And that's hard. That's really hard for me to let go of. So while I am enjoying trying to learn a new skill, I'm having a hard time still of having no idea what's going to happen, because back then, like, that's what they told us, right? Like you go to the academy, you get the job, you graduate, you get your assignment, you stay in for 20, you get your guaranteed retirement, your pension, your benefits, etc. And I walked away from that. So that had a guaranteed future in front of me. But now I don't have that. Now I'm making my own future. Now that I wasn't independent and making my own, had free will in my old life, but like
there wasn't much.
The genuine plethora of opportunity that now sits in front of me that I could go anywhere, I could do anything, I could say anything, I could work for anyone. That is intimidating. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many choices. Whereas back then there were none. I mean, you could either hop offices or you could hop agencies, but you weren't going to. The path was the path. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I flip-flop still right now, where some days I feel great about what I'm doing and I'm super comfortable with the fact that I'm still learning and I'm a beginner. And then other days I'm really hard on myself still, because it's kind of like you used to have it together. You pride yourself on being somebody that has it together, and like you don't feel like you have it together today. So don't lie. And the whole point of the show is to admit that you don't have it together and half the time, and that like you're supposed to, if you're going to help people feel better about not having it together, then you have to admit out loud that you don't. So I guess the show is forcing me to face a lot of my internal contradictions, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that's weird, which maybe is therapy technically. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do. Again, this is a very zigzaggy way of getting to the good part. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but yeah. So it's been a journey, but I like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy listening back to them, because there's some days where I listen to myself talk, especially when it's episodes and it's just me, and I get to listen to myself talk, and it's kind of like, oh, wow. I'm really proud of her. I'm really glad she said those things. I'm really glad she admitted to this, or she, like tonight, I could have just, you mentioned, and then your cousin made you upset and you ran out of the room, and I could have left it at that, and I could have said, yes, they said something that offended me, and I cried and ran away, which is typical for me at a family reunion. But I didn't. I told you the truth about why that was so upsetting, and like there was a real reason behind why I left the room, and I didn't have to do that, but I did. And it's because I'm on the show that's kind of forcing me to, I guess, let go of what other people think, which is also scary because now it's public, and if anybody ever wants to listen to this, they can tease me or taunt me or make fun of whatever it is that I've done or said or whatever. Because now it's out there for anybody to hear. And I can't take it back necessarily. So it's a walking contradiction between being proud of myself and being really
authentic.
Being proud of myself, but being authentic and being scared about what that would mean once I actually do that and share sides of myself that I don't normally share with a lot of people. But most of the time, the vast majority of the time, like 99% of the time, I put the episode out and I'm proud of what I said and I don't regret putting it out there because it's honest in that moment in time, in that snippet, in that week. What I'm talking about is what I had been feeling or what I had been thinking and what I needed to say or get off my chest or get out of my head. So I don't necessarily regret those episodes.
Okay, one more.
Yeah.
So have your goals changed at all for the podcast, or have you added anything that you want to do for this year?
For this year, the main goal is to do the original goal, which was do it for a year. So get 52 episodes out and then kind of reevaluate how I feel and if I want to keep going. I can really only handle one a week at this point. I'm still working full time and this is a significant side hustle when you're filming, editing and publishing, and I'm only doing it on 3 platforms. Like I'm only doing it on podcasting platforms and Instagram and TikTok, and that's a lot as it is. I also know I need to add it to YouTube eventually. I need to get on YouTube, so that would be a goal for this year. Make it to 1 year, get on YouTube, but in September, my goal is to meet up with my media booker and do in-person interviews in September. And that way in October, we can launch some in-person videos and ideally update the branding. I would love to be able to save up some money and get an actual graphic designer to help me with the branding and the logo and just get like the banners and headers and like templates kind of made so that way I can have those and use those if I wanted to do professional ads on like creating an ad in like Adobe Premiere Pro or something and then publishing it and stuff. Putting it out there would be great. But I think I'd rather do that with a cleaned up version because I made what I have now in Canva, or my friend Ashley made it for me in Canva, and it's not a bad photo, but I think it would be better to make it easier to read and stuff if I just kind of had different branding. So I would love to be able to do that. And that way all of the highly produced videos for the anniversary that would be launched in October, those would have the updated branding on it. So that way, the number one goal, get on YouTube. Goal number 2, batch record a lot of in-person stuff in September. So that way, October, November, December episodes can be all those highly produced, edited videos. And I think that would just be cool because that would help me out a lot because we're about to travel to Argentina and Antarctica at the end of the year. And I don't want to take all of this stuff with me.
Right.
Because it'll take up a lot of room, or I need to figure out how to take much smaller equipment because I know you can take handheld ones with the Rode mic attachments to it. So that way like it almost looks like I'm like a little miniature journalist.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Yeah. So that would be great. But those are probably the goals right now. Get on YouTube at some point this year and start planning for September so I can batch record in person and get some guests lined up for October, November, December. So that way I'm not scrambling before trying to leave for vacation, the big girls trip.
Those sound great.
Yeah.
Very good goals.
Yeah. Courtney, did you have any more questions before we move on?
Nope. Was it?
No. Okay. Did you enjoy being on the podcast?
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome back anytime. How about you tell the people how to find you? It's the best way to contact you, follow along in your journey. If they want to support you in your journey to becoming the best bartender in DC. What can they do? How can they follow you?
Sure. My Instagram, zlucky21. I'm sure you'll just pop it in the notes.
Yep, I will, like a responsible podcast host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just follow my Insta.
Cool. Alrighty. Sounds great.
All of our travels.
Yes. All of her great crazy adventures are on there. She's also has a plethora of world travel and fun tips and tricks and just all around good times. And she's a great photographer too. And does a good job of posting stuff after her trip. So follow her there. That sounds great. And you know the drill, everybody. Like, subscribe, share, leave a review, 5 stars. Please don't unfollow me after this episode. I swear I will be back on track and in my regular routine very soon. But for now, I appreciate you being the humble and gracious listeners that you are for this unhinged hotel version with me and Courtney. But I appreciate all of you very, very much. All feedback, all likes, all shares, all reviews are greatly appreciated, and they mean the absolute world to me. I would not be able to be here without you and without your support. So please continue to do that. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Podcast for the Lost, and send me questions and reviews, comments, concerns, suggestions for other guests, any questions for prior guests as well. If we ever bring them back on, that's a great way to do that too. But everything else you need is in the show notes, including all discount codes for products that I'm currently using or have used in the past and promote on my other platforms. So feel free to DM me or ask me any questions about those as well. And as always, wanderers are always welcome.